Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time, our weekly Fantasy Premier League football podcast, the number one podcast with one South African in the UK and one in Canada. If you're watching for the first time, we just wanted to say welcome and thank you for tuning in. We hope you have a great time with us today. And if you're returning, thank you for returning. We appreciate the retention that you've given us. We're up to 130 subscribers, so growing slowly, but let's see. There'll be timestamps below for you to follow along. If you don't want to sit here for all the rant and riff-raff, you can just click along and find whatever segment you're looking for. So we made that easier for you. But without further ado, Mike, welcome back to football. We're back.
I don't know if I don't even know if I want to be back. I don't know if there's people out there that feel like me. If you didn't captain Saka and you captain Haaland or Salah, bro, I don't know if I want to be back. It was rough. And the worst part is, when you have, and that's how, they always say when it's football and you have a defeat, sometimes the worst thing is the international break because you have to suffer with the defeat for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, you can't correct your mistake. That's what happened to me.
Yeah. Right? Like, I can't bounce back immediately and be like, it's okay, I'll make it back next week, because there was no next week.
So you have to just sit and suffer in silence.
So it's the worst time to fail. And Nate is the undisputed WWE champion. But remember, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So
yeah,
we're gonna wait.
I'm the FPL nightmare, not the American nightmare for those wrestling fans. But yes, just to quickly recap, currently sitting 25th overall in South Africa, which is where my home league is, which I'm super stoked for. And 1,573rd, gotta get it right, in the world. So that's quite an achievement to be so high. I've never been this high before. So Mike's even...
That one time.
Let's not talk about that. It's been good. It's been good, Mike. It started off with a good triple captain in Game Week 2. It went to my head, played a wild card. This is honestly the most points I've had this early in. I know it's still early, but as Chelsea it's good.
You are up in the upper echelons of FPL right now. And anybody out there, if you wanted some justification of why you should be listening to this podcast, Nate is doing it. He's up there in the top 1,000 odd. He's up there in his mini leagues, up there in these country leagues. I mean, I know I'm falling behind, but I like to think that between the two of us, I'm the foil to his success. So without my suffering, his success isn't as insinuated. It's accentuated.
It's a team effort. It's a team effort.
So I take full credit for his success. He can take full credit for my failure too. But yeah, that's definitely, if you guys are listening in and you want to improve your rank, I can tell you now, Nate has been following this podcast himself since he's been doing it for the last 2 years, and his rank has dramatically increased just by following
It's statistical proof. I watch, comment all on all our videos, so there's the proof. There's there. Oh, just for you guys wondering, I'm still wearing Chelsea shirt. It's just a bit cold inside.
But just jump straight into it and look at what's been happening over the last 2 weeks. The big news for me is Liverpool, because I don't know if any of you are following out there, but Liverpool has had the best defensive record so far. But is that coming to an end? Nate, what do you think about Alisson's injury and what that means for Liverpool?
Well, we're going to talk about a replacement for Alisson a bit later on, as a bit of a theory that I have. So I'm not going to tell you now. If you want to watch, you're going to have to stay for the end of the video. But
skipping the timestamps.
Or skipping the timestamps, whichever you prefer. But Alisson's injury definitely lessens the appeal of a Liverpool clean sheet. As far as a clean sheet asset for Liverpool, I don't know if I'm going to be holding on Trent anymore, because we discussed this a lot of times, and the price point for Trent for what he returns isn't as great. Yes, he's the most scoring defender because he's been keeping clean sheets and getting an odd assist. But for 7 million, I'd rather go Gabriel. So with that in mind, I think I might be shifting away from Trent in the next few weeks, within the next few weeks.
Just take a look at his fixtures too.
Yeah, they have horrid fixtures coming up. Horrible. I mean, Liverpool they start with a match against Chelsea this weekend. Come on, you Blues. And then they go to Arsenal and then Brighton, which by all means is definitely, like, I would say a 3.5 on the FDR, because Brighton are firing. And then
they'll score goals, but yeah, that's tough. I mean, there's that sandwich, nice, tasty fixture with Southampton. Maybe they Liverpool come for a big haul, but then you
straight away, bam, Man City, bam, Newcastle.
So It's looking quite rough for Liverpool, and I'd be the only thing I would say is that there's lots of games coming up where a 0-0 draw would be seen as favorable for Liverpool, like a
Mm,
favorable result.
mm.
Like those away games to Chelsea, to and to Newcastle, and even a home game against City. They can draw with Manchester City. That points
Yeah.
towards taking that title down. So I would say that's my only thing. But I think if you're on a wild card, I'm not looking at Liverpool defenders unless you're thinking that Trent is a mainstay for the entire season. But at
We'll talk
7.1,
we'll talk about him later because of how he was played in England. I don't know if he'll get played similarly with Slot, but yes, we'll talk about it in our wildcard draft shortly.
yeah.
Um,
Another team that I've been looking at interestingly over the next thing and to swap around, have maybe some more balanced fixtures is Spurs. Now
mm,
Spurs play with this high line, this attacking football, and in the next 6 games they have Palace, West Ham, and Ipswich, which are all green on the FDR. They also have a Man City thrown in there for good measure, and an Aston Villa. So they don't have the best fixtures. But tell me about this player that's on form and on fire now, Brennan Johnson. He went up, price rise up, which means people have been bringing him in. Why?
so the reason why I'm thinking that people bringing him in is because obviously his price point is 6.6. He's on form. He's playing for a premium team. Son isn't exactly firing, although we'll talk about that shortly. Um, the Madison that link-up play is there. Just having Solanke, like the team is good. It's just unfortunate they've been losing. And I think it's similar boat with Palmer last season, where it's such a cheap player that's doing well for the team. I think Johnson's kind of carrying Spurs at the moment. So that's probably why people are moving to him.
Yeah, Son's still out with a slight injury. We'll see if he comes back in, but he's definitely not someone you want to have in your team on a wild card. But
No.
Johnson is. At that price point, he enables a lot more further forward.
Mm.
And the only other player I would be looking at, personally for me, is Madison, because he's got such a high appeal
Yeah.
in terms of
Because
his
he's in the middle
attacking
of that.
stats.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have a different player you thinking about bringing in this week.
Well, yeah, so for me, I would be looking at Solanke purely because, not purely, but mostly because of the fact that I have Joao Pedro on the bench. There's no news on his injury, which for me is a concern. And I need to fill that striker hole because I can't have a situation, especially this week, where maybe Saka doesn't play because he's injured or Havertz doesn't play because he's injured, and then I don't have any bench depth. So for me, I kind of need to sort this issue out as soon as possible, which is why I went Solanke.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Speaking of Saka hobbling off, um, okay, just so everyone understands, this is what happened. Saka played, no breaks, 90 minutes, 90 minute midweek. I'm like, I thought he was gonna be rested last game week. He still wasn't rested,
Full 90
and then
minutes,
I failed.
hold captain points.
Okay, there we go. Best captain choice, really, that you could really anticipate. No one's has Antonio at that level. Everybody, but now we go to international break. Is it dark arts of Arteta or is it real? Because he goes to international break, he plays, and then comes off hobbling at the end. And if you look at the video, it's almost not like a real serious like limp that he has. It's more like a crip,
Mm,
like a gangster limp
mm.
of the back in the day.
Some swag.
And pulled out of the last match, sent straight back to Arsenal. Now, my personal conspiracy theory is Arteta was like, you can go play one game, but you're not playing the away game. You're not traveling to Finland. You're coming back home because we need you. And so he was allowed to play the home game. Uh, this is just conspiracy theory. Faked an injury and headed straight back to Arsenal to be ready. And I feel the same thing about Havertz. Havertz's injury was prevent him from going so that he's fully fit to come back for Arsenal. And
Mm.
I'm actually done with this anticipating Saka resting. I'm anticipating both of them starting 90 minutes full.
You're gonna be anticipating until the end of the season because it seems like Arteta just wants to play them both. I agree with you. I don't know if it's tactics or if it's genuine, but it points to tactics. I mean, we saw it with Cole Palmer last international break where he pulled out with a groin injury. We saw him. Speaking of hobbling off, we'll just pivot to Palmer as well because he also hobbled off. But he's fine. He was in training. So I've put in brackets Maresca tactics, Arteta tactics, and I think it is. I think both managers played under Pep or managed under Pep, and Pep obviously showed them something, and because this is what Pep used to do, and I think this is what they're doing. And I think they're star boys, being Saka for Arsenal and Palmer for Chelsea. You've got to take care of them, and Chelsea are in a great spot right now. So I wouldn't see why Palmer wouldn't want to fight for his club. So I
There,
totally see it
there
being
is
tactical.
it is not it's not an exaggeration to say that Arsenal and Chelsea seasons are dependent on each of those players.
No, I agree with
And
you.
our FPL team's success and your and other people's team success is dependent on those players. So like them coming back injured or not injured, rested or not rested, dark arts or not, it's gonna affect all of us.
Mm.
So a player that you had in your team, I don't know if you sorted him out, was Konsa. Did you do anything with him?
No,
Is he still
I've
injury
still got
out?
Konsa. I've still got Konsa. Konsa's currently on FPL. He's got a 75% chance rating of playing. He's yellow with a hamstring injury, although we know how hamstring injuries go, and he's probably not going to play this weekend, which isn't the end of the world for me because I got Harwood Bellis playing against Leicester, and then I've also got just going to play Robinson and Face is playing Southampton. So I'm not too worried because I've got some depth. But again, someone that I might need to sort out soon because, as we both know, hamstring injuries just mean you're out for a while, which would lead
And
me
also
to
it's
my
not a
yeah.
it's not even an indication of coming back strong either.
No, no,
Coming back from a
exactly,
hamstring isn't
exactly.
isn't easy.
I was going to say, which would lead me to my rotational pick for defense, but again, we'll talk about that in the wildcard draft, just about who I think could replace him
Yeah.
with.
Just the last mention before we jump to the World Cup draft is I am looking at United's defense. They do have amazing fixtures
Yeah,
coming up.
yeah.
They do have a good defensive record, even albeit inconsistent. Onana's right up there with Pickford for
For
goalkeeper
saves,
points.
points, yeah.
Defenders from United have been doing well. My only problem is that they've got Malaysia out now. He's gone for an operation, and I was looking at Diego Dallo. We'll take a look in a bit, but I'm just keeping my eye on that United defense and Ten Hag, because if his job is saved by him not losing rather than
Mm.
winning, like, does that mean United's defense, like, do we get some more
Solidifies.
0-0 draws
Yeah,
like we
yeah.
did last time? Because they're not good at scoring goals, but they seem to be okay if they are defensively solid, and
I mean,
Maguire's starting to pull back in.
like Rashford's not playing for England, so like if England doesn't back Rashford, I don't know if Ten Hag should be, to be honest. So I think you're right.
Uh,
I think they need to pivot and play
I
defensively.
heard a stat that said that those are the first um, England 11 that had no Man United players for like years and years and
Wow,
years.
wow.
No United players in there, right?
That's
I
a
think it's time
that's.
to summon back Harry Maguire. Honestly, at this point,
Harry
put him on
Maguire.
at left back.
I
Put
agree.
him on
I agree. Harry Maguire's a beast, underrated player.
now.
Nah.
Everybody, I need Nate's help because he's the expert. I need your help, and you're gonna help me and tell me what I'm doing wrong here, because we up to date. We're doing a wild card draft, game week 8. Always a good time to do one
Hmm.
when you are always good
Behind.
to do a wild card draft after after an international break. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. After an international break. So take a look at this wild card, and we're gonna start with goalkeepers. Nate, tell me what you think of my goalkeeper choices, and how am I wrong? Because that's what you're gonna say. So how am I
Okay.
wrong? What have I
How are
done?
you wrong? Is Jaros probably never going to play? Let's be honest. Unless Kelleher
I,
gets injured, he's probably not going to ever play. So he's kind of there for you to just save funds, which I
yes.
back because my second choice goalkeeper is also probably never going to play. I have Valid Marson. I've got the Fleck and Valid Marson combo. Mine is a bit more like mine's more tactical in the sense that if Flecken goes out, Valid Marson will play. However, I like it in your sense because it enables Raya, and Raya is points, and Raya's not going to get injured. Like I don't think he'll get injured.
Arteta
So
will summon him back from the dead with
yeah,
necromancy or
he'll
something.
perform
Look at
some
Arsenal's next three fixtures though.
or
After
five
Bournemouth,
next 5 or 4 fixtures. Yeah,
we've got Liverpool, Newcastle, and Chelsea. Right?
mm.
Just just look at this run, squeezed between Forest and Bournemouth, which would probably be a little easier. Are you still saying that Raya is a good pick for a defender on your wild card now, or are you looking at some other options that you got in your back pocket there? Give me some options that's better than Raya.
the
Tell me
only
Raya's.
so thus far premium has proved to be the way to go. However, to if you wanted more funds for other moves, I would say Pickford. Um, Jordan Pickford for me has just been a good FPL asset. He's got great points. He saves a lot, and then just coincidentally, with that, good old Virginia, the backup keeper, because I've just been going at that strategy this season about having the main and the backup. Great haul last week. I think it was 15 points or something. And also, I'm just seeing green, bro. Is it Christmas? Is the tree up? What's going on?
It's hurting my eyes. It's as green as his top.
Yo, it
Ipswich,
blends in.
Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford, Man United, and Wolves. That is a run of 7 fixtures that I would put some clean sheet money on, except it's Everton, though. And they're not in a good
Exactly.
place.
That's the only thing why I wouldn't pick him. But again, what budget goalkeeper's solid this year? No one. Flicken hasn't been getting clean sheets. Henderson, they get the one haul, but like consistently, no one. It's been the premium. So
Well, you've been talking about this pair and his budget, but he's playing because of Alisson's injury. Tell
this
me
would
why
be
you
the
think this is a good idea.
correct. This would be the other alternative for me. Is we remember Kelleher from last season and the points that he hauled when that Alisson went off injury. I think we could see the same thing. Alisson's got an unknown return date, so at least 6 weeks, I think we're expecting, which is 6 weeks of 4.4 goodness. So, like we said, we did mention earlier that Liverpool's defense might not be as tight. However, just having a premium goalkeeper or having a premium team that a goalkeeper's 4.4 that's going to start is something that's really nice to consider.
For me, I don't think I trust Everton's defense, but I do trust Liverpool's defense.
Mm.
And considering they are the best defensive unit in the league so far, I think going with a defensive pairing, a cheap way into that defense would be 4.4. We know
Yeah.
goalies, we don't normally expect a lot. Going in with Kelleher might be exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, and the
going
only
forward.
thing that's prevents you from doing is like going DS Salah or Trent Salah. But we're moving away from those assets anyway. So and you manage this team later down the line to rotate those keepers out, and I think you've got a good system going on.
Special mention to Sanchez as an option. He's got 2 double-digit hauls.
Yeah, it
Over
saved Chelsea a point last week out.
twice.
Yeah.
Like he saved us points twice now.
Yeah, against
But it
Forest.
also doesn't have the best fixtures, though.
But I don't back Chelsea to keep clean sheets. Personally,
Nope.
me as a Chelsea fan, just
Nope.
it's the way it is. We outscoring. We're
Nope.
old Liverpool basically. So moving along from that.
Yeah,
Defenders,
so we'll
Mike.
leave goalkeepers at for now. I'll stay with Kelleher and Jarvis as my goalkeepers of choice. Now, we'll go to defenders. Let me start off by saying I'm not opposed to having 2 4.0, 4.1 defenders to save money. And I've got Hardwood, Bellis, and Face, which I know is exactly the same 2 you have.
Yeah.
So you okay with that decision?
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
So if you're building a wild card, some saving some money for later on, put those 4 million defenders in. Leaves me with as much budget as I can. Now, what best 3 defenders are you thinking about? Keeping in mind I want to spend some more money up front and in the midfield. Look at the defenders I have. I've got Gabriel up front. Are you okay with that?
I don't mind Gabriel. I think he's matching the premium managers that own Trent. So you're saving $1 million. I would look at it like that. I wouldn't look at Gabriel as a Gabriel or Dallo or Gabriel or I don't know, Lewis or Gabriel or Vardy or Gabriel or Porro. I would look at Gabriel as a Trent because they're playing for they're up there. They're the premium teams. So for me,
even with those fixtures, you think he's still worthy?
Yeah, because of set piece threat, and we know Haaland transferred his powers to Gabriel's head. So
yes,
we must never lest we forget. No,
I'm not messing with Arteta.
I think Gabriel's good set piece, let alone clean sheet threat. So yeah, I like it. Face and Howard Bettis we spoke about, good solid budget picks, and that will start. So good rotations. In fact, I'm starting Face this weekend because of this injury issue. So
now,
for me,
looking at Manchester City, I want you to get your opinion on this because I was toying with Vardial, or Lewis, or both. And if you look at City's fixtures, they are immense. They are the best. Okay, I shouldn't say immense. They're decent up to that Spurs game. But if you look at
I wouldn't say Spurs is a 4, to be fair. So I would say Spurs is also a good game for them.
And just the next 2, they are playing the next 2 matches against the 2 weakest defensive records in the Premier League. 2 teams that have the ability to concede +6 goals at a time. Southampton and Wolves. I was thinking double up on them.
My only concern with Lewis is that I don't know if he plays the whole time because of how Pep likes to maneuver his squad. So that's the only thing for me. Otherwise, I think it's a good pick. I would throw an honorable mention instead of 8 Nouri. Instead of Lewis, I'd say 8 Nouri. 8 Nouri. I don't know how I say it. I apologize. But the
Alt. I
Wolves
just alt control delete. Yeah.
control Alt Nouri. 4.4 mil from Wolves. Definitely is going to be starting. Has been having a good assist run over the last 2 weeks. I think it's been assists. Playing Man City, so not the best, but afterwards, very good fixtures. Very,
Yeah,
very good
he's a very
fixtures.
good attacking return option. Maybe after the next 2 fixtures, even Brighton might be a little. Actually, no, Brighton have a weak defense. So yeah, after the City game, I could see them doing a
And
lot.
that,
In
that could
fact,
save you some money for your midfield as well.
I don't think City will keep a clean sheet. They're not keeping clean sheets. I'd back Wolves to lose by 6 goals, but Wolves to score 1.
I agree. And for alt control Nouri to be involved.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
um,
Now I was trying to put in Diego Dallo in my team, but I'm not so sure United defender is the best because I don't trust
I'm
them
a
because
United agent. No, I'm joking.
so other options I was thinking about is Justin,
Ooh, James
right?
Justin. I like it as
But
well. But then
I've
you're
already got
doubling.
face in there.
Ooh, and you
Give
got
me some
Vardy.
other
So
yeah.
um,
Give me some other options for defenders that you like from your list. What have you
so
got?
I would say Konsa, but unfortunately Konsa's injured. So he's not really one to look at. I do want to say Porro. Maybe it's time to move back to Pedro Porro.
My problem is look how far down he is in the list.
I
I have
know,
to go looking for him.
but with
I
the
still
way
can't
Spurs
see
are
him. Is he
lining
even
up,
here?
there he is. Below Mazzari. Up, 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 up. One more.
Ah, there you go.
Just check his stats quickly for everyone as well that they can see. Um, he's obviously nothing to write home about, but what I'm more looking at is the fact that he's darting forward a lot and he's making a lot of touches in the attacking half. He's playing almost an inverted role at times. So because Son isn't
Yeah.
there, he's got the space. Which is the only reason why I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, which brings me to my midfielder point because if you're not going to play, if Pedro Porro is going to play, maybe you'll be more attacking because if we jump to midfield now and we look at Brendan Rodgers as an option, I've got him in. Sorry,
Brennan
Brendan
Johnson.
Rodgers. Brendan Johnson. Brendan Rodgers is not an
That's a
option, ladies
new.
and gentlemen. He
It's a
ain't
new
back.
player.
Brendan Johnson. Listen, Brendan Johnson, he's played for Wales. He scored this week, but he hobbled off injured. Okay.
Next Gareth Bale
And
for
he's been on
Spurs.
he is on fire for Wales. He's on fire for Spurs. He may be injured or maybe not. I don't know. I'm gonna check in the news coming up. But
Yeah,
if
you
he's
got him
injured,
in.
I
You
think
got him in before the price rise because he's currently
yeah.
6.6. So don't be deceived. Those of you, Mike was just on it. Um, good form, good form, and we always said form matters. And all the players that have been on form have been hauling. So I like the pick. I'm a bit jealous of the pick. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it's a solid pick.
Okay. And but something I'll probably maybe change closer to press conference, depending
Mm,
on whether they say he's fit or not.
mm, mm.
Yeah. Another
Um,
midfielder pick that I have is McNeil. What do you think about that?
it,
Everton have
it's
brilliant fixtures.
it's a
He's on
it's a
fire.
gamble to the point. A gamble of just being at a weak team. Um, he's not always involved, but when he does get involved, he's hauling big. So I do like the outside choice of it. I mean, yeah, look at that 15 points against Palace, and then blank, but then 12 points. So, like, when he scores big. The only other option, I personally still think Rodgers is better than McNeil as a
So, quick
player and
question
as a
for
team.
you. Out of McNeil, Johnson, Rogers, and I can only choose 2, who are you choosing?
Johnson and Rodgers. Brendan
Sounds
Rodgers.
like they sound like ice cream or something.
Johnson and
Johnson and
Johnson.
Rogers.
Rodgers and
Johnson
Johnson.
and Rogers.
It's
Johnson and
Brendan
Rogers.
Rodgers and I don't know Rodgers' first name. Anyway.
Johnson and Rogers Law Firm. LBBWB.
FPL at law. Yeah, so I would go Rodgers and Johnson.
Yeah, and looking at Palmer and Saka, do you think they are mainstays in this team? Palmer, Saka, and Buemo. Do you have to go with them, or is
Yes.
a lot of people are shipping Saka out?
I was one of those people. I have Palmer and Saka, and I am satisfied with my choice. And I have Mbeumo, and I think he is a staple until he just stops performing because he is still hauling for the last 4 weeks. He's getting
Okay.
goals, so why not?
I'm gonna just put in your suggestions here so everybody can see what the FPL hero that you are suggesting. So, and
How much money we got in the bank, just for interest sake? Decent.
1.2.
Decent.
Decent. That's because we saved some money
On Rogers
with
and
Pet.
upgraded Paro, but downgraded Araya. So, yeah.
So then
Okay,
we
well,
go to our
Haaland, let's just
forward
quickly
line.
touch on this because a lot of people still don't have Haaland in. I think he's 78% owned. If you want to just check that quickly. 73% owned. So for those of you that are wildcarding, I think you should put Haaland in your team. I think you just need to
But
own
should
Haaland.
you though? Here's the thing, and we were talking about this earlier. There are people who brought in
He
Haaland
blanked.
and he blanked.
That's why he
okay?
blanked, though. It's
Twice.
the curse. It's the curse of the most
So
brought in player.
the point is, if you went with him from the beginning of the season, stick with him. And if you didn't, you now have to spend 0.4 million more to get him into your team, which you already is going to struggle to find.
So is Haaland still worth it?
He is worth it. I think he has to be in your team, but he's not the type of player you can go, I'm going to think about it, or I'm not going to think.
I
If he's
agree.
injured, sure. But if he's playable, stick with him for the entire season.
Mhm.
He's not the type of player you can really pull in and out at your own leisure unless you plan way in advance.
Yeah.
And if you try that, you're going to miss hat tricks. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I agree. I think you bring him in and you just leave him and you just work around the price.
What do you think about my Vardy pick?
Vardy, I like. I did plug him a lot over the last few weeks. I do like his run of form, his run of fixtures that's coming up, and he is getting goals now and then. I wouldn't say he's necessarily on form, but he can score goals. He is the threat for Leicester. If we look at his fixture run, he's got good fixtures coming up. Other than the Chelsea game, generally he's got good matches. A lot of fixtures at home as well, which is what I'm really looking at. West Ham, Brighton, Chelsea, Forest. So home advantage, it is a thing.
Yeah.
However,
I
I
might-
feel like the window for Vardy has passed.
Yeah, you think there's someone else? Who would you put in instead of Vardy then?
I would be looking at Cunha as a budget option, 6.5 mil. Obviously, doing it for Wolves, getting goals.
Maybe
for Wolves.
Raul? Jimenez?
Jimenez, yeah, not a bad shot either. The other person that I've noted down, there's two. Obviously, Cunha we've spoken about now, but the other one is Solanke. Maybe it's time to move back to Solanke. I don't know.
Bro, we were burnt so bad in the beginning. I don't
know.
want to get burnt again.
I know. But I'm still so upset Wisa is out injured because I would tell you to bring in Wisa.
And what about going with our best friend Duran here?
So
Especially if I don't have Rogers.
This is interesting because Duran just doesn't stop scoring off the bench. So unfortunately, he will always be the bench player. He's the super sub. The question is, for 6 mil to only play 20 minutes and maybe get a goal is a bit risky.
Yeah, I think. And what about keeping with Vardy, considering Welbeck, considering he scores lots of goals?
I mean, I don't see a reason why not to move him if you've had him for this long.
At least to stretch him out into that Wolves game, maybe.
Yeah, but even after that City game, he's got a good run of fixtures. So
yeah,
for me, it's my front three are Havertz, Haaland, and Pedro. So I've got a premium attacker up front. So if I had to look at your team and think about it, another outside pick I could tell you is just Delap instead of Vardy. Delap has just been scoring for Ipswich. He's just always at the ball when they need him to score. Either him or going back to Chris Wood, who we speak about a lot. So for that Vardy role, I don't think it's locked in. I think Welbeck and Haaland is locked in if you're not going to go for like a Havertz. I think between Wood, Delap, yeah, Jackson might have been a good shot. Jackson might have been a good shot.
If you had more money somewhere else, if you make some money somewhere else.
But for me,
I'm gonna make some changes, but at least you guys have an idea of what my wildcard will look like and some ideas for your wildcard. But Nate, we got about a minute left. Tell me about the captain choice for this week.
All right, for me, I'm going Haaland. International break has happened. We know that stunts form. I'm not expecting Palmer to have an easy game against Liverpool. Not expecting Saka to have a great game against Bournemouth. So for me, that leaves the outstanding choice of Erling Haaland playing against Wolves. We know Wolves concede goals. We know that they're not very good at defending. So for me, it's Haaland all day.
And outside choices? So you don't think Vardy's a shout this week?
Vardy could be an outside choice, but I think Haaland's ceiling is higher. Vardy could score, but I think Haaland scores 2 where Vardy scores 1.
And then another option that we've got down there is Saka being injured, maybe not the greatest option coming into
Mm.
this week with some tough games coming up.
And then the only thing,
But
if people still have Salah, you could take a gamble on Salah because Chelsea again concede goals, so it might be the time. And Salah scores against Chelsea and loves scoring at Stamford Bridge. So, well, that's all we have time for in today's episode. As you can see, the ref blew us off the field and the podcast ended. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching once again. We hope you have something to take from this Game Week 8, Episode 8 video. Go back, check out Mike's Wildcard Draft, see what we have to say. If you haven't yet, check out last week's video, just about a review of Game Week 7. There was a lot to talk about in today's episode, but that's what happens when there's 2 weeks of break between Premier League football and international break. But nevertheless, we hope you have a great game week. We hope the points are in your favor, and good luck for Game Week 8. And we'll see you next week.